SPACEPLAN is, well, I could say what it is. It's a sci-fi clicker based around potatoes. Or I could say what it is to me, which I just cannot pin down. It's a game that most people would probably play and move on from, while for me it just stuck in my mind. I first got the game back in 2019 with a number of other games: Talos Principle, Omnibus, Kerbal Space Program, but I haven't had the same connection with those games as this one left with me. The story doesn't tug at any of my heartstrings, and I haven't replayed it 10 times over, but it stuck with me. So let's talk about SPACEPLAN. As mentioned, it's a clicker game, in the same vein as Cookie Clicker or Universal Paperclips if you've heard of that. You click a button, you get some stuff, and you use that stuff to buy upgrades to get more stuff. I shouldn't have to explain it. There are some neat touches though, like how solar panels work best in direct sunlight and the planet's shadow blocks the sun from reaching them, reducing their effectiveness. Or how probes have to fall down first, and they generate more energy while falling. Soon after, you look down at what you're orbiting, scan that, and find out that it's Earth in the distant future of 2072, and that you're the last remaining human alive. The apocalypse happened years ago, and you avoided it by just being in space. So what's the logical plan? Shoot potatoes into the sun and make it a black hole while constantly speeding yourself up to not be sucked in, and use the idea that time is infinite to shoot yourself into the end of the universe, wrap around to the Big Bang, and then just before the apocalypse to warn the human population and prevent everything from happening in the first place. Let's take a step back real quick. Do you want to talk about the music instead? The SPACEPLAN soundtrack was written with the idea of drifting through the void of space in search of home. The synth-heavy arrangement is punctuated by ambient soundscapes that make the player feel lost and enchanted. Logan Gabriel, composer for the soundtrack, absolutely hit the nail on the head. Each track feels like you would hear it on some space voyage to a point light years away, just floating as you wait for arrival. Nothing that you can do to speed it up. Most of the time, music is repeated on loop, one song finishing and another starting from a select number. In some cases, a specific track plays to highlight a big event, such as Dark Matter or The Descent. But they stay reserved to keep those moments truly powerful. And those also tend to be the songs that go a bit harder with melodies and bass. Logan continued, saying, "The resulting soundtrack contains elements of modern dance music, and it's clear that those elements were used for those specific big event sounds." Spoiler time. Skip over here if you don't want to get spoiled. Alright, you went through a black hole willingly to warn the human race about apocalypse, and you survived. Now what? Well, let's warn the human of potatoes. That's what the prototype ends. You stuck with an army of spuds. The full game continues. Investigating the planet a bit further, finds that it has some sort of glowing spots? The potatoes on Earth were telling you this, and you have to do this across multiple planets. Toss some potato chips down there, and boom, the planet opens up and positions itself around the sun? Weird. Well, let's move on to Mars. Scan it, shoot it, and move on to Neptune. Same song and dance. Scan, shoot, and move into Saturn. Scan, shoot, and we're done with all the planets. Leave Saturn, and the potato prophecy has been put into action. The sun turns into a giant energy provider and lets you have infinite energy. There's only one thing to do now. Hop from dimension to dimension till we find our way home. There can't be infinite realities, right? Right? before I end, I would like to give a shout out to the writing of this game. Your only companion is your own ship, a personal HAL 9000, but friendly. He helps you figure out what's going on and gives a couple of one-liners here and there. That line I said just now before the montage, "There can't be infinite realities, right?" That's his line before the end of the game. He is the one that suggests creating a black hole out of the sun, and the one who deletes fusion reactors and nuclear power from its own database to stay on brand. So what made this game stick for me? I guess it would have to be the fact that I found this for free on the App Store, gave it a shot, and then was stopped by a paywall. And then later on, I stumbled across it again, decided to go for the full experience, and was satisfied with my purchase. I didn't get a watered down mobile game for once. It was a full-fledged game with passion. And the only real drawback besides standard idle game flaws would have to be the fact that there's no real use to replaying it. The biggest draw to the game is the story, and once you've experienced that, there's no going back. You experience it the first time, and you're done. I don't think that this game could work with some sort of prestige or reset system. You already do that halfway through the game anyway. But that's the only thing holding it back. There's no real replayability unless you just really like clicker games. So I guess that's why it stuck with me, because I had a history with it in the first place, and when I actually received what I wanted, I was satisfied. Now, before I go, I do want to mention that the first time around when I played this game, I did use an auto clicker, and plenty of Steam guides tell you to use an auto clicker or a macro, or even change your system clock to advance offline earnings. However, when I started recording, I decided that this time I would do it completely legit. Nothing fancy. I ended up letting the game idle for hours on end, while OBS picked up any audio I played. All said and done, this is a wonderful little game that needs more love. The most played song on Spotify has only 30,000 plays, which is just criminal. On YouTube it's even worse, with 10,000 views. Don't play the game for the clicker. You play for the humor and the absurdity that it goes through with the story. I mean, I want to repeat myself. You throw potatoes into the sun to make a black hole while potato lasers throw a razor at you.